Some interesting developments in the social media world. It looks like Mark Zuckerberg will be launching a new Twitter competitor. Let's go ahead and put this up there on the screen. They are calling it Threads. It was codenamed inside of the company called Project 92, and screenshots suggest it will feature a continuous scroll of text like Twitter with buttons similar to like and to retweet. Ryan, you've been looking into this a little bit for us. What do you know? What's going on here?
So basically, what's coming out of Facebook is they think that they think that Twitter is quite vulnerable. Advertising revenue collapsing, and you've got a lot of liberals
freaking out about it,
leaving, right. And you've got their thinking is that athletes and celebrities, which once made Twitter, the kind of place that it was for everybody to be, are themselves leaving. Because if the journalists are going somewhere else, then the athletes and the celebrities who are there, because the journalists are there, are going to go somewhere else as well. And so what they're doing is they're linking it up with Instagram, but making it a separate account. So the way it would work is that if you're on Instagram, you can port your username over, and you can alert all of your followers that you're over there. And your block lists, your safety features that people appreciate over at Instagram, the ways those will all carry over to the other thing. And so they're really gearing this toward, I think, the kind of people who are interested in a Mastodon or a Blue Sky. And in fact, they're saying it will be interoperable with Mastodon.
See, that's where I'm confused. How would it be interoperable? Because Mastodon is a decentralized platform, so I'm assuming they're building it on top of that architecture.
So this would also be decentralized as well. And so they're reaching directly out to a bunch of celebrities and athletes, trying to convince them to come over, which is the opposite of Elon Musk's approach, which is to reach out directly to celebrities and athletes and insult them and try to drive them.
See, that's the fascinating part here, which is in terms of how you can actually get this going, you would need a actual network of people, because we talk about this all the time. We had Jack Dorsey on the show very recently. We asked him about it, and the whole point of Twitter is that everybody's on Twitter.
Right.
It's the network effect of all of that. So when you start an alternative, going after elite users is smart, because Twitter's really only used by some 10% of its user base. It's more like everybody follows those people, and to the extent they engage with it, they're engaging with like replies and retweets of those individual, very small select group. The problem though is that you still need the masses of people to make it an effective communication tool. That said, it's not a dumb play, because you look at this company, it's in turmoil. Whether people are engaged or using it, nobody knows based on the data. If there was ever a time where you might be able to replace it, it could be now. Facebook has good relationship with advertisers. They obviously, if they've got the cash and the money to burn as much as possible to try and prop it up for as long as needed. So maybe it'll work. I don't know.
And if it does work, what it would probably wind up being is a liberal Twitter.
Right.
And which would fit into the way that we're kind of splintering in our social media world, that it's basically impossible kind of to build these mono platforms anymore where everybody is on board. Because you already see over on Blue Sky, as you see conservative people start to join, you then see a reaction of people saying, well, I'm quitting if this person's over here. Like the idea that everybody can be on the same platform seems quaint at this point. And so I could imagine it being it would run from the left to the never-Trumpers.
Yes,
basically.
That's very possible. No. I mean, I think the use case is there for a small number of political users. The question is it there for everybody else? Let me give you an example. One of the ways that I relax is I like to listen to like business podcasts, like stuff that has nothing to do with politics. It's been interesting for me and for Crystal. Like we never, intended to become small business people, but suddenly we're running a business, and it's like, it's fun for me to listen and to engage. For example, I'm giving this example, is business Twitter. So like I'm looking at all these entrepreneurship. Some of these people are really annoying and they're faking, their business. But you learn some cool stuff there. Anytime I get into watches, for example, I like the watch. This is actually a Omega Swatch, the Moon Swatch. Start looking, if you engage with it a little bit, you'll find these fascinating threads. That's where I don't know if the user base of current Twitter I think they're fine. You know, watch Twitter. They don't care about
You
censorship.
think watch
whatever.
Twitter's going?
Huh?
You think watch Twitter's?
I think watch Twitter's going to stay.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with current Twitter. There's nothing wrong with the menswear guy. I love that guy, by the way, Derek guy on Twitter. He's a huge lib, but you got to give it to him. The man knows how to dress. He's got great taste. His threads, and stuff are very useful. I don't see
No pun intended.
like there's nothing wrong for his with Twitter for him right now, right? Like it's actually working well. There are multiple different Twitter subcultures that I live in and engage with, of which censorship is just not an issue. Like, and from what I've been told, NBA Twitter is lit. It's so much fun. If you ever watch TV, if you're engaged in like shows, and I like to watch trashy reality TV sometime.
Bravo Twitter's still there.
My fiance tells me that Love Island Twitter is the best Twitter, right? So for them, they don't, they're not having issues so that you and I could talk about here with all of them. That's the real success. You have to be able to get normie stuff that has nothing to do with politics over. I just question whether that will port over to actual Twitter, it's a competitor.
It's a real question, and it raises the question of what was it that originally brought everybody over to Twitter.
Right.
And in my kind of oral history of it, I would say that it was in 2008, 9, 10, journalists, whether it was sports journalists, political journalists, are there watch journalists?
Yeah. There are actually watch journalists. Shout out to Hodinky and all those guys.
Because the watch journalists were there, then the big watchmakers
that's right.
are going to be there. And then people are going to like watching the kind of engagement back and forth between the watchmakers and the watch journalists. And same with sports, same with politics. You don't have the same kind of world of journalism that you had in 2010.
That's true.
And so even if you did get everybody from CNN and MSNBC and the New York Times to join this new Twitter, if they end up calling it Threads or whatever, that doesn't necessarily mean the same to the public. Because what the old Twitter did is because all the journalists were there, then the politicians were there, and then the politicians realized that they had to be authentic if they wanted to get any engagement. And then people were like, oh, wow, we're actually engaging. I can yell at a politician and they care about it.
And they actually will do something about it too.
But if the politicians don't believe that the journalists have the same power that they used to, then they're not going to engage in the same way. So I don't know. It depends on what kind of world we live in, whether or not this can be recreated. Maybe it can. Maybe this is a river that has just, and the water has flown by.
Maybe you're right. Yeah, I'm not so sure a competitor will work, but I'm interested. I always like looking at new stuff. Something that I think a lot of people, including me, who thought that social media was dead and was over, was the rise of TikTok. TikTok completely cannibalized Instagram. It nuked a lot of the short-form video competitors, and it's the unequivocal winner in the social media war within just a couple of years in the United States. So, put the Chinese complaints about it aside, of which I very much agree with, but as a matter of tech, it worked. I mean, it disrupted the industry completely. So that is, we shouldn't count these things out before they happen. I'm a little bit skeptical, but again, like I said, you never know. Anyways, guys, we'll see you later. Ryan, it was fun talking to you.
Hey guys, if you like that video, go to breakingpoints.com, become a premium subscriber, and help us build the best independent media organization on the planet.
That's right. We're subscriber funded. We're building something new. We want to replace these failing mainstream media organizations.
So again, to subscribe, it's breakingpoints.com.